Hey guys, it's Tim and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 29th of February, Leap Day 2020, to talk about everything that went down tonight at AEW Dynamite. I thought tonight's show was really good. I mean, it was very close to a 10 out of 10 show. I wouldn't give it that. I would give it an 8.5 out of 9. And for the simple fact that there are a few things that I didn't. Now, I'm not going to say there's things I didn't like. There are things that I wouldn't have preferred. Or I didn't. I'll just say it right now. I'm not the biggest fan of Orange Cassidy. I kind of don't get the hype train behind Orange Cassidy and why everybody loves him so much. So to me, him in there against a guy like Pac and Pac railing through him and then him just jumping up perfectly fine out of nowhere, and then Pac railing through, and I'll talk about it when we get to that match. But that was the one thing that I really couldn't get into and didn't like that much, and was like, I don't know about that. And then Nyla Rose and Chris Statlander. What are you going to say about that one? Chris Statlander tried to go for a superplex or something, fell off the top rope, almost jammed Nyla Rose headfirst into the floor. Again, we'll talk about that when we get to it. But again, AEW Dynamite, in my opinion, was an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. So either way, that's really good. I thought this show from top to bottom was really good. Like I said, I didn't think the Orange Cassidy Pac match was horrible. I just couldn't get into it myself, but I could see that a lot of people loved it. I mean, that crowd probably gave Orange Cassidy the biggest reaction of the night up to Moxley pinning Jericho. And there could be an argument that the Orange Cassidy stuff got bigger reactions than when Aubrey Edwards counted 3 for Moxley. But before we talk more about the show, we got to talk about who is here with us in the live chat. We do have Jonathan Powell, Wayne Montgomery, Milton Chavez, Henry Cavallo, Eric Clark, Stephen Love, Kristen McNutt, Fully Clutch. We've also got Liv Morgan, Jeff Guevara, Dontrell Bailey, Jason Dalton, Sam Galt, and so many more of you. Let me know in the live chat, in the text message bin, what you guys thought of tonight's AEW Dynamite. Remember, you can text in your thoughts on the show to 510-906-1341. Or you can also put your comments in the live chat if you submit it with a super chat or a super sticker. That guarantees that your comment in the live chat will be read. Plus, that helps us out here if you give us some super chat donations. So with that, the show actually started with a pre-show, the buy-in, as they like to call it, where it was the Dark Order against SCU's Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, and of course, Christopher Daniels was not at ringside. Kazarian and Sky charged the ring and attacked the Dark Order for the bell even rang. Kazarian ran wild with kicks and a springboard leg drop. Kazarian tried a dive, got caught, and then cut off. Uno and Grayson got an assist from their masked followers on the outside. Later on in the match, Sky hit a monkey flip on Kazarian, who then popped up into a double lariat. Kazarian pulled outside, went to the outside. Sky used a cradle for a 2. Uno hit a lariat to the back of the head. Then Grayson cradled Sky for the pin. So, Dark Order picking up a victory over the SCU. So SCU and their henchmen start beating down on the SCU when who would come to make the save? None other than Boom Boom Colt Cabana. Boom Boom Colt Cabana. Yeah, Colt Cabana comes out in his hometown of Chicago to make the save, but couldn't because the numbers were too much for him. They teased throughout most of this match that the Exalted One is close. Maybe the Exalted One can show up tonight. And a man draped in a cloak walks out on stage. A cloak not unsimilar to the cloak of Vince McMahon's higher power cloak. Cloak comes off. It's Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels runs down to the ring and charges at the Dark Order. Now, the thing about that cloak, and the reason they did it, I could just assume, I don't know this for sure, the higher power in WWF was not always supposed to be Vince. The original pitch was Christopher Daniels. The original pitch of the higher power was Christopher Daniels. So that's where that joke tonight came from. Why he wore the cloak with the hood on and everything. And there was all the jokes online of, "It's me, Austin." So that's where that comes from. So SCU and Colt Cabana get the better of the Dark Order. The real Exalted One never shows up. And there we go. In the back, Lexi Naylor, or Nair, however you say her name, Nair. She interviewed Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus said that after 65 million years, not much excites him. But he's excited for Revolution and happy to finally see some dinosaur representation on the pay-per-view. He said Jurassic Express will be watching the Cody MJF match because they've had run-ins with MJF and Wardlow in the past. And I'm like, what? Representation? You're just doing a backstage promo. It's not like you're wrestling on the show. It's not like you're doing anything worthwhile. So, meh. Henry Cavalli says, I think the Exalted One is going to be Raven or Brody Lee. Well, I think they did the Raven thing just to throw everybody off, to be completely honest. So they then introduced Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone on commentary. As for the buy-in match, it was Excalibur and Taz. Desiree Salis sang the national anthem, and we were off to the races. Show kicks off with Jake Hager, or as Jim Ross wants to say, Swagger, and Dustin Rhodes. Yes, I'm not joking. Right before the buy-in ended, they're like, oh, go over to Bleacher Report Live, Fight TV internationally, and pay-per-view to order the pay-per-view now, as it will be kicking off with Swagger versus Dustin Rhodes. And I go, Jim Ross gives no fucks. He does not care about getting people's names right. And they joked about that later when Tony Schiavone said something wrong. And he goes, oh, people are going to come after me saying I'm saying people's names wrong like you, JR. These guys don't care at all. So Jake Hager comes down to the ring, and his wife is sitting ringside, front row. Hager comes down to, well, you're not supposed to know at first that it's his wife. And so he goes over, and they just start making out. They start just macking, right? And then they tell us, oh, yeah, that's Jake Hager's bride. That's his wife. And okay, I've seen pictures of them together before, so that's what I assumed. And so the match begins in the crowd. The match begins in the crowd as they're brawling. Jim Ross said that Danny Hodge was the best amateur wrestler turned pro wrestler. Kurt Angle. Just saying. Hager hit a shoulder tackle on the floor to establish the advantage. My first thought was no countouts in AEW? Okay. Then it was time for a rest hold. Jake Hager went back outside to get some instruction from his unidentified wife. Rhodes pushed Hager out of the way and then kissed her. And she was disgusted. Disgusted. So Rhodes then hit a couple of bulldogs and a power slam in the ring and then got cut off again. Hager missed a Vader bomb, but hit a second one. Hager then hit a gut-wrench powerbomb and only got a near fall. Rhodes sent Hager up and over the top rope. Hager hit the steps and landed very awkwardly. Rhodes hit a destroyer, then used a cross-arm breaker. Hager rolled through into an ankle lock, or Rhodes kicked Hager off. Hager nearly took out the referee here. Aubrey Edwards had her back turned, still recovering from the near ref bump. Hager hit a low blow. Hager then used a sleeper, and, well, Dustin passed out, and Aubrey Edwards had to call for the bell. As Dustin loses, Jake Hager picks up a victory by submission, and they played up the whole thing of, he's an MMA fighter. He's undefeated. He's won both of his fights by submission, just like this. Yeah, he's won 2 fights in Bellator, but that's because damn Bellator has picked guys that they knew that could not win. They knew that he would beat. He barely won that last fight. He almost got disqualified by kicking the dude in the nads I don't know how many times. Then, this match has ended, and we got the big announcement. March 25th, Prudential Center, Newark, New Jersey. AEW presents Blood and Guts. There will be 2 rings and 1 giant cage covering both. It then says, you know what this is. It's war. They can't use the name War Games. Cody has referenced this in the past, calling it the match beyond. But here's my thing. Actually, I got a couple of things. Typically, War Games is one faction against another faction. Or a guy and a team against a guy he is feuding in their team. So there's a couple options we have here. Could we be seeing Team Rhodes, Team Nightmare Family versus Team MJF? Could we be seeing the Inner Circle versus Team Moxley? It's going to be very interesting to see how they build this up over the next 3 weeks or so. Because you have to buy, let me look at a calendar really fast. So you have, because you can't go into that night, March 25th, without the match completely 100% set. So you only have, March, 1, 2, 3 episodes of Dynamite to set the rosters for War Games, to make sure that everybody knows who's in the match, who's on this team, who's on that team, and how are they going to do it. They're going to set their own rules, I assume. I don't think it's going to be just like WWE's War Games. We don't know exactly how the rules are going to be, how it's going to be set. They're going to change things up. So let me know who you guys think are going to be represented in this War Games style match. Remember, they can't use the name War Games because WWE has a trademark on that. WWE has a trademark on the name War Games. Cody, like I stated, has referenced this match in the past on Dynamite, calling it the match beyond. Because back in WCW, they called it War Games, the match beyond. So again, it's going to be interesting to see how they set these teams up. But here's my other question. I get it's 2 rings. But does that mean people are not going to actually be sitting where they thought they were sitting if they're sitting floor and ringside? Because when the tickets went on sale, the seating chart was set up for a 1-ring arena. 1-ring arena. So everything's going to have to be pushed out. So does that mean there's less floor seats? Does that mean that people aren't going to be as close as they thought they were going to be? That's the other big question, is how is this going to be for the people that paid for their tickets? I assume it's not going to be less floor seats, because you can't take somebody who had a back row floor seat and say, oh, your seat's now been eliminated, or we're moving you up into the bleachers. But then what about those people that had those seats? So it's going to be interesting in that regard as well. But again, AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts does come to us from the Prudential Center on March 25th. Again, only 3 episodes of Dynamite to build this up and build up their quote-unquote War Games style match. So going forward, we had Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. Allin hit a tope suicida before the bell even rang, and they started brawling at ringside. He followed this up with a woo drop kick into the barricade. Allin missed a charge into the barricade and got whipped into it himself. This is when, I guess you could say, chaos ensued. So there's a table at ringside, and Sammy Guevara puts Darby Allin on top of it. Guevara then jumps up on the top rope and hits a 630 through the table, almost over rotating on this 630. He hits the 630, and as he's coming down, you see him come down, and then his whole body twists, and he kind of lands gut first almost, or side first on Darby Allin. He finally gets into the ring, and he starts yelling, he ain't getting up. He can't get up from this. And so Darby Allin slowly stirs, gets to his feet. Remember, you don't have to worry about a count out yet because the bell hasn't rang. The match hadn't officially started. So finally he gets into the ring. The referee rings the bell, and there we go. Allen draped Guevara over the barricade after throwing him out of the ring and hit a tope as they crashed and burned at ringside. Guevara then hit a double stomp on the apron. Guevara hit a Spanish fly, which Jim Ross called a Greco-Roman throw. Okay. Guevara exposed the buckle, but got sent into it himself with a monkey flip. Allen then hit a stunner and the coffin drop to pick up the victory. Kind of obvious after they basically killed Darby Allin 3/4 of the way with this match. Like, he was dead for most of this match. Then he finally started to stir, got some offense, boom, picked up the victory. Allen then teased hitting Guevara with his skateboard after the match, but Jake Hager would run down, pull Sammy out of the ring, and save him. This is very good. I think it was a good, deserved victory for Darby Allin. He's somebody that the company really wants to push. And I think picking up a victory over Sammy Guevara, who is a pushed star, was the right move. Luke Piquet with a super chat donation. Not sure when the Tuesday live shows are going to return, to be completely honest. Nick's been working a lot of Tuesdays. So the next up, we had possibly the best, possibly the best match ever in AEW history, with the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page defending against the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson, and boy howdy, was this match just not the best thing we've ever seen in all wrestling history. I'm going to say it right now. This was probably the best match we have ever seen in AEW. I'm not joking on that one. I know a lot of times I give crap to Young Bucks and AEW tag matches for being too much, what's the word I'm looking for? Move. But I felt like there was, yes, a lot of move in this match, but it was paced well. It was paced in a way where you didn't get, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? Overexerted with too many moves at once. They would hit a move, and then there would be selling, and there would be time to relax, and then get back into it. And then there would be selling. So I felt like not only was this probably the best AEW match so far, but I also felt that this was probably the best tag match we've seen from them as well, as far as pacing and all the other stuff that goes into that. With that, this match, like I stated, was great. The story here was the Bucks became more and more heelish as this match went on, to be completely honest. Give me 1 second, guys. So, as far as the match itself, it began with Hangman working over Matt's lower back. Now remember, a couple of weeks ago, when they did 2 weeks ago or so, when they did the whole Battle Royal, that week on Double or Nothing, we had Hangman going, hey, Matt's still got a messed up back, work over his back, telling different guys in the company, do this, hurt Matt, blah, 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 right? And so he took his own advice and he started working over the back of Matt. Hangman wanted to slam Matt through a table at ringside, but Omega talked him out of it. Matt tried and failed to land a double Northern Light suplex, still selling the back. Nick got the hot tag and hit his trademark hot tag spots, including the Escalara into an arm drag, the high kick in the corner, and a super kick on the apron. Matt and Nick then went to work on Omega. Omega teased a Terminator dive, but got nailed with a kick on the apron. Matt hit Omega with a pile driver. The Bucks managed to tag Page. No, Omega managed to tag Page, my bad. Who hit his trademark hot tag spots as well. Page knocked both Bucks off the apron and then hit a moonsault off the post to the floor. Back inside, Page killed Nick with a lariat. Nice hard shot here by Hangman. Page then threw Nick into the Bucks corner, demanding that Matt get tagged in, because all he wanted to do was beat Matt's ass. So Matt gets the tag, Page hits a rolling elbow and a German, then Omega blind tagged in and got a 2 count off of it. Nick got a second hot tag. He tried the Escalara again, but Page shoved him down on the ramp. Nick then hit a destroyer from the ramp to the ring for a 2 count. Bucks used tandem offense here, hitting a pair of near falls. Nick hit a 450, then Matt covered for a 2. Then it was Page and Omega's turn for some tandem offense. Page hit a blockbuster superplex, then a 2 count on Nick. Where was I? A 2 count on Nick. Omega then hit a V-trigger for a near fall. Omega hit both Bucks with V-triggers, then hit Nick with 2 snapdragons. He followed this up with a Tiger driver, only got a near fall off of it. Omega teased a second rope one-winged angel for the second time this week. Nick reversed it into a poison Rana off the second rope. I don't know how Omega wasn't hurt here. He came down just gnarly on his neck. Matt hit 3 Northern Light suplexes to Page on the ramp after this. Matt and Nick hit Page with an indie taker, my bad. And the crowd hated this. They hit him with this damn indie taker. And the crowd boos probably louder than anything except for MJF. Like, MJF got loud boos. But the Bucks were right there with MJF level booing when they hit the indie taker on the ramp to freaking Hangman. Hangman's down, and the referee starts saying, oh my God, is Omega going to have to go at this alone now? So they get in the ring, and the Bucks hit double V-triggers to Omega, and then he just kicks out at 1. I didn't really like that spot. Like, you're almost dead already. They had to pick you up themselves to hit this move. Double V-triggers, and then you kick out at 1. Second double V-trigger led to a 2 count. Matt tore the tape off of Omega's shoulder. The Bucks teased a Meltzer driver, but Page recovered and powerbombed Nick through a table, which was not a DQ. I guess maybe because he didn't set up the table. So it's kind of like in WWE when it's like, hey, you put somebody through the announce table, but it's not a DQ because you didn't set that table up intentionally. I don't get it. It's AEW. Rules don't fucking matter anyway. So, hey, again, like I said, it's AEW. Fuck rules. Just like John Cena used to say. So Matt then takes a buckshot V-trigger, but he kicks out. Omega teased a one-winged angel, but sold the shoulder like it went out and he couldn't hold him up. Page tagged in and hit a one-winged angel of his own instead on Matt, but Nick made the save. Page then hits a buckshot lariat on Nick on the apron, then hits a buckshot to Matt in the ring and pins him 1, 2, 3. They retain. I was wrong. I honestly thought that the Young Bucks would win the titles here, but no. Omega and Page are still the champions. I also thought that there would be some sort of dissension between Omega and Page, and to be completely honest, they worked just as good, if not better, than they ever have worked together as a team. So after the bell, the Bucks approached Omega for a handshake. Omega was reluctant, but eventually agreed, and in Hangman fashion, he refused. They did an awesome tease here where it looked as though Page was going to hit Omega with the buckshot, and then he didn't. So we go on to our second title match of the night. It was the AEW Women's World Championship. Nyla Rose defending against Chris Statlander. This match was all right. There was one spot where Statlander, I thought, almost killed Nyla Rose. I felt like that this probably should have been the Pac Orange Cassidy match because these two had a hard time having to follow, and not against them, nothing that they didn't do or did do, but having to follow that match, holy shit, I wouldn't envy anybody. I wouldn't have envied it if it was Cody and MJF, Pac and Orange Cassidy, but I thought just because of the reaction that Orange Cassidy got, that would have been the better move. And maybe they didn't realize how big of a reaction Orange Cassidy was going to get. So, like I said, this match started off slow. They were trading holds. Statlander hit a senton, then used a standing moonsault for a 2. The turning point came when Statlander missed a tope through the ropes onto the ramp. Rhodes took over after the missed dive, hitting a spear, then slamming Statlander into the buckle. Statlander hit a super kick, then they traded strikes and knees for a little while. Statlander sent Rhodes to the outside, then hit a pair of topes. JR climbed on his soapbox and went off on, he doesn't call her Statlander, he calls her, what did he say? He says Statler. He calls her Statler multiple times. And he started getting on to her about hitting multiple dives. Okay. Back inside the ring, they traded lariats. Rhodes draped Statlander over the top rope, teasing a missile dropkick. Statlander did a handstand, a walkout of the position that blew a kiss to Nyla Rose. Statlander booped Rose, then hit a DDT for a 2. Statlander tried the Big Bang Theory, but Rose blocked it, then locked in the STF. Rose got up from the hold and tried to splash, but Statlander got her knees up. Statlander hit a one-leg drop kick. Rose hit a beast bomb for a 2. Rose climbs to the top rope. Statlander goes up there to hit a superplex. Doesn't get her footing at all on the top rope. Falls down. Still has Nyla like this. So she pulls Nyla down. Nyla almost goes freaking face first into the mat. Almost just jams her neck down. And then, what do? They go to the other side of the ring and get on the top rope. Nyla's sitting there. Chris Statlander goes for a avalanche Hurricane Rana. Nyla Rose blocks it, hits her with the beast bomb off the middle rope, pins her 1, 2, 3. Nyla Rose is still AEW Women's World Champion. And Jason Dalton in the live chat. He says, I'm sorry, Tim, that you're not an Orange Cassidy fan, but you should understand that a pop is a pop, brother. I'm not taking anything away from Orange Cassidy. I didn't even say that I'm not a fan. I said that I don't get the gimmick. And I don't understand how that gimmick gets such a great reaction. I'm not taking anything away from Orange Cassidy whatsoever at all. No, don't get me twisted. Don't get me twisted, brother. I give it up to him for being able to take a gimmick like that and get such a reaction. Such a great reaction. But I just don't understand it. I don't know. Maybe because I'm a simple country boy from the woods. Maybe. That I don't get that hipster, millennial, even though I'm millennial gimmick. I just don't get it. So, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from him and the great reactions that he gets. I just don't understand the gimmick myself and don't understand how so many people react the way they do. That's all I'm saying. Not that I hate it or anything. Again, like I said, I'm just a simple man from the mountains. I lived my whole life in the mountains. Grew up with a bunch of other rednecks. I mean, look at the hat I'm wearing. So then we move in to what some said was the most anticipated match of the night. Some say that the main event was the most anticipated. Some say that the tag title match. But to a lot of people, this was the match they were most looking forward to. And it was MJF. And it was Cody. So MJF comes down to the ring. Tony Schiavone says that he looks like royalty. And then out comes Cody with the Nightmare Family. He's got a lot of people with him. As Downstraight. I don't listen to that kind of music, so I don't know. It ain't country. I don't listen to it. Down Straight or something like that played his theme song. Really super cool. Cody had a lot of different people with him, including Green Arrow, Stephen Amell. And none of them came down to ringside except for Arn, his coach, and his wife, Brandy. I do want to say thank you to Killjoy Army for subscribing as a member subscriber at the donation tier. I really, really do appreciate that. I really appreciate you subscribing and supporting us directly here at Pro Wrestling Unlimited. So, like I stated, Cody had Brandy and Arn at ringside. MJF, of course, had what's his name? I don't know what I'm talking about. Wardlow. I don't know why I couldn't think of that with him at ringside. Jason Dalton, yes, I've seen his indie work. I just don't understand how that gimmick gets over. Again, maybe it's just not what I grew up with, not the kind of people I've ever hung out with that likes that kind of gimmick. Again, simple guy from the mountains, grew up in the woods, playing in the creeks and the rivers. Anyways, Cody has this neck tattoo. Not sure if it's a real tattoo or not, but it's the Nightmare Family logo. Like, let me. All up in here. All up in here. And the reason, like I said, that I'm not sure if it's real or not, because it never faded. It never faded. Unlike face paint would. So that's why I'm like, this man better not have gotten a real tattoo, because that looked bad. So Cody missed a couple of wild right hands right off the bat. MJF rolled outside and stalled. MJF went into the crowd to stall some more, then threw a beer on a fan and knocked another fan's hat off. Cody then hit an uppercut and a Cody cutter. He ran to the stage, ran backstage, and then ran all the way down with a full head of steam, clothesline MJF right over the top rope. Cody covered, but pulled MJF at one to deliver more damage, which, hey, that was your downfall, brother. If you could have won it right there, you gave up the win. Cody gave up that win in the first 5 minutes. Maybe even sooner. So, going forward, the announcers made mention that Cody broke his toe in the cage last week, and Cody was periodically needed to check that toe. Wardlow pulled MJF outside of the ring, and Brandy threw a bottle at Wardlow. Cody hit a dive, taking out Wardlow. Climbing back inside, MJF snapped Cody's arm on the top rope and went to work over it. MJF then used the Fujiwara armbar that he calls the salt of the earth. This would have been more plausible as a near finish had he used it more than once on TV, because he's been using that Crossroads instead of the Salt of the Earth move. Yes, for longtime MJF fans, you know that that's the move he's used a lot on the indies, but he doesn't really use it in AEW, if ever, and the announcers kept harping that he does, but to somebody that's only seen MJF in AEW, you're going to go, he what? He uses that move a lot? No, I've never seen him use it in AEW. So I don't like that. And so Cody gets out of it, rope break. MJF then ripped off the boot of Cody and bit the broken toe. Cody then hit a back suplex off the top rope. MJF rolled to the apron, and Cody sent him to the floor with a disaster kick. Cody teased a dive, but Wardlow stepped in the way. Arn Anderson grabbed a chair and scared Wardlow off. MJF then bladed while on the floor, and he was gushing blood. Cody went outside after him. Back inside, Cody punched the cut to make it bleed even more. Cody hit a power slam for a 2. Cody teased a draping DDT, but MJF reversed it into a heat seeker. MJF covered. Wardlow put his feet on the ropes to help him with the leverage. Brandy tried a crossbody on Wardlow, and Wardlow caught her. So Arn went after Wardlow. Nothing happened. Cody jumps out of the ring and yells, "Put her down, put her down." And Wardlow just listens to Cody. Like, what the fuck? Wardlow listened to Cody. Cody then runs at Wardlow to kick him in the face, but instead Wardlow moves and he kicks Arn right in the side of the neck. Arn takes a bump and looks dead. Back in the ring, Cody gets back in, actually, and he's concerned with Arn. He thinks, okay, MJF's down. I'm gonna watch as they take care of Arn, make sure he's okay. But MJF really wasn't down. MJF got to his knees and hit Cody whoop-ha with a low blow. They did a bonkers double suplex out of the ring onto the floor at one point. Both made it back into the ring before the count out. Tread strikes. Cody fired up and was ready to flip, flop, and fly. but MJF dropped down to avoid a bionic elbow. MJF hit a double cross for a 2. Double cross is his version of the crossroads. MJF removed Cody's weight belt. The ref took it away from him. Why? Because if you use the belt, it's a disqualification. Unless your name is Cody Rhodes. So Cody grabs the belt and he whips MJF with it. Referee says, don't do it again. Cody says, one more time? He says, oh, okay. So they hits him one more time with the belt and he throws the belt into the crowd. And my thought was, what kind of fucking crooked ref is this? Just letting Cody do whatever he wants? Yeah, I get it. Cody's your boss. But you got to enforce the rules no matter who it is. A disqualification is a disqualification. And if AEW has a rule of there's no such thing as a disqualification, then let these fuckers do whatever the hell they want. I just hate the not enforcing rules thing in AEW. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the main event as well. So MJF then goes to hug Cody. Like, I'm sorry, let's end this all. And then instead he spits in his face. Cody hits the crossroads twice. Went for a third one, but MJF blocked it. Pulled out the dynamite diamond ring. Pop Cody right in the face with it. And pinned him 1, 2, 3. I saw a lot of people online were mad that Cody lost. But Cody should have lost. MJF is the future of this company. And putting him over Cody like this, whether he cheated to win or not, because that's his thing, doesn't matter. MJF had to win this because it builds him up as an even bigger star. He just beat one of the biggest stars in the company and now can grow and grow and grow to become a big star himself, or bigger than he already is. Again, I felt that MJF winning was the right thing to do for that and for the sole fact of everybody, or at least 90% of the people, would expect Cody to win. So then you piss them all off and you go, whoa, I didn't expect that, with MJF picking up that victory. Jason Dalton, I love NASCAR too. Watch the race today. We'll watch the race tomorrow. The next up, got Pac and Orange Cassidy. And this crowd, like I said earlier, went ape shit, bananas, crazy. You would have thought a volcano erupted. So they traded Orange Cassidy weak kicks. Pac then hit a hard shove. Cassidy did some of his spots with his hands in his pockets, including a drop kick and a kip up, which got a standing ovation. Pac hit a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker and then went to work. It's worth noting that JR was at his worst in this match. Tried to do some color commentary, and JR is not good with on-the-fly jokes. Just gonna say it. So, as we go forward, Pac is just killing, and I mean killing, Orange Cassidy. To the point that Orange Cassidy can't stand on his own. And then all of a sudden, he just makes a comeback. Hits a tope suicida, high cross off the top, and tornado DDT. Cassidy smiles. Pac kicks out of one, though. Pac hit a series of strikes. He teased a Michinoku driver off the top, but Cassidy blocked it and hit a DDT off the top. Pac tried to leave the ring. Trent threw him right back in. Cassidy then hit an air raid crash for a near fall. Lucha Bros then ran down and brawled with best friends. Pac used a brutalizer for the submission victory. Again, the match wasn't bad. I don't get the Orange Cassidy gimmick, though, and I just don't understand how he gets such a great freaking reaction. But again, you got to give it up to the guy. You got to give it up to him. Good-looking guy that can go out there and do what he does so, I guess you say, minimalistically, and get a reaction like he's doing Young Buck Kenny Omega moves. Hey, I applaud him. I don't get it. It's not my style. It's not what I like watching. But I do understand that it's what a lot of people like, and it gets over. I mean, Cody said it when they did the media call the last couple of weeks, that everybody is shocked when the T-shirt numbers come in and they see how many damn fucking T-shirts that Orange Cassidy sells. Like, they are just mind blown. And then, moving to the main event for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship on the line, Jon Moxley challenging Chris Jericho. Crowd was tired when this match started, to be completely honest. They had a wild brawl with blood. Crowd wasn't into it really until Moxley hit his first double arm DDT before the finish, to be completely honest. Like, there were chants here and there throughout this match, shitting on Jericho, cheering for Moxley and stuff, but I would have expected more. But at the same time, this crowd had already gotten 3 hours, 15 minutes of action. So they started off with some crowd brawling. And again, there's no countouts in AEW, I guess. The bell rang and then they brawled in the crowd. I hated when the announcers kept going, I think Jericho's trying to get himself disqualified so that way he doesn't have to wrestle this match. And then you get another one going, well, Aubrey Edwards is going to give the little leeway. She doesn't want this match to end in disqualification, so she's going to give a little leeway. And then what does Jericho do? He freaking hits Moxley with a freaking, like, one of those rope stands, like you see the rope on, draped on, whatever. I don't know what it's fucking called. Just right in his face. And right next to the referee, and she doesn't call a DQ. She ain't counting for the fucking count out or nothing. Again, there's no rules in All Elite Wrestling. So, finally get back into the ring. Jericho, actually get back to the ringside area. Jericho posted Moxley, who then started bleeding from under the eye patch. Jericho then hit a powerbomb through the ringside table where Moxley actually went back of the head first onto the ring bell. That could have hurt a lot. That could have hurt bad. Jericho continued the attack, working on Moxley's eye patch. I thought it was funny when, I think it was Excalibur goes, Aubrey Edwards just put on the gloves, there must be blood. And all of a sudden you hear Tony go, oh yeah, I see it. And then doesn't say anything. He goes, it's coming from, and he doesn't say anything. And then finally we see that Moxley's bleeding. So Jericho grabs the microphone and declares himself the winner. And then he gets back into the ring. Jericho took the referee and Santana and Ortiz went after Moxley on the floor. Jericho whipped Moxley into the steps. Moxley fought off of a superplex and hit a clothesline off the top. Moxley blocked a lion tamer and used a heel hook. But Jericho forced the break. Moxley hit a regal knee for a 2 count. Santana and Ortiz jumped on the apron. Moxley took out Santana, but fell victim to a mad ball strike from Ortiz. Jericho covered him, but only got a 2 off of it. People didn't really buy it as the finish. Moxley then blocked a code breaker and used the walls of Jericho. Hager would then run down for the distraction. Jericho hit a code breaker and only got a 2. Jericho then put Moxley into the walls of Jericho. And I guess Jim Ross isn't sure if he's supposed to call it that or not because he goes, oh, he's got him in the walls of Jericho or a Boston Crab. Crowd finally this time started really getting into this match. They really thought that Jericho could have possibly won by submission here, but Moxley made it to the ropes. Hager, while the referee's watching, punches Moxley right in the face. And you got to commend Aubrey Edwards for kicking them out. But isn't that a disqualification? Again, like I said, they don't care in AEW. There are no rules. So if you're not going to disqualify Chris Jericho for Jake Hager just blatantly right in front of the referee's eyes punching Moxley, then why kick him out of ringside? Why kick him out if you're just not even going to call a DQ? So as she's dealing with them, though, Sammy Guevara runs in from the crowd and hits Moxley with a belt shot and then runs back off. Jericho covers him, only gets a 2. Jericho then gouged Moxley's good eye, then kicked the eye. Moxley ducked Judas effects and then hit a double arm DDT. Moxley will then take off the eye patch, revealing that his eye's been fine the entire time. Moxley hits a paradigm shift, pins Chris Jericho 1, 2, 3, new All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. Moxley celebrated with the title, put on a brand new shirt. On the back, it said, I was there. On the front, it's got the front plate of the championship with the Mox logo going down it. Really cool t-shirt. I wonder if that was going to be sold after the show in concessions or if that's just a get it online and at Dynamite shirt. So Moxley cuts a promo saying, I love this shit. He said that it's been a long year. He said AEW promised to bring back pro wrestling, and well, they have. He thanked the fans, saying that this is not for me. AEW is for the fans, and this win was for the fans. Moxley's music then begins to play. Hold on. I didn't write this in my notes, but I did a tweet about it. I want to get the exact quote. So I guess they were getting short on time. And so they play Moxley's music as his cue to, hey, wrap this son of a bitch up. It's time to get off the air. And he literally just yells out, and I quote, hey, what the fuck? I'm not done. He then stated, it's beer o'clock. Let's go. I'm ready for some whiskey. He drops the mic, leaves with the belt, and there we go. So yeah, Jon Moxley is the new All Elite Wrestling World Champion. We now go into AEW Dynamite this coming Wednesday from Denver, Colorado. Jason Dalton says, Down by the River. Not my kind of music. I listen to country music. Still backwoods type music, but not that old of music. But with that, we do have a couple text messages. And hey, guess what, guys? We're taking calls. I think I got it working. So first caller is going to be my guinea pig, just to make sure I do have everything working properly. If you want to text into the show or even give me a call, you can do so at 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341, as we do have a couple of text messages in the bin already. This person here does state, if it wants to load. With Moxley now AEW World Champion, who do you see being his first challenger feud, and what do you see Jericho doing now since he's been a world champ for almost a year? Well, hey, what do? You give Jericho his rematch, and then you do Jericho Moxley again at Double or Nothing. Bada boom, there you go. Let's take a call. And never mind. We had a call, but I didn't get it in time. I apologize. Try again, please. Ow. Sorry about that. This text message here does state, can you see MJF and Moxley feuding for the AEW World Championship going into Double or Nothing? No, because MJF is a heel. Well, maybe. But let's take this call. Caller on the air, what's going on?
Hello, Tim. Tonight matches was good. Like, I feel like it made me a pro wrestling fan all over again by watching it. And one thing I don't like about it, like, I was livid with the rules. I don't know when you're going to have your rules DQ or not. I don't understand. Like, what are the AEW rules? Please explain.
They haven't said. The announcers keep saying that should be a disqualification, but then it never is. So that's the confusing thing, is if your announcers are going to say, hey, you should disqualify this person for what they just did, and then the referee doesn't, it's almost like, are there a set of rules that the referees know about and the wrestlers know about, but the announcers don't? It's just very confusing that they don't just say, I know Tony Khan doesn't want his matches in his company ending in DQ. So if that's the case, then why do things that could be a DQ? Why not just make all your matches no disqualification? I sent out a tweet earlier, and I basically said, what is this, ECW, where you can do whatever you want, whenever you want? Oh. And I think we lost the call there. I do apologize for that. But we do have a couple more text messages. If you want to text into the show or give me a call, you can do so at 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341. Actually, before we read the text messages, let's take this call. Caller on the air, what's going on?
Ha, 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 ha. Tim, what's going on, big man? It's JD.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
What would you rate the show tonight?
As I said earlier, 8.5 or a 9.
I would give it a 9. And I know you were questioning the Orange Cassidy kind of
Right.
gimmick. I am too. But what do you think of the question mark in NWA?
I mean, he's okay. I mean,
You see how the fans are reacting just like to Orange Cassidy that
I
they
think
are
that's-
in NWA?
that's different, though, because I think everybody knows eventually he's going to turn on Aaron Stevens. And they want him to. And so they're delaying it as much as they can. I think that's the whole point.
Right, but you get what I'm saying. Like, here's a guy just out of nowhere that just there's no explanation, and the fans just react the way they react. And sometimes, I don't get it. I mean, I know Orange Cassidy could wrestle. I've seen him on the Indies. I've seen him actually live and
Right.
in their dinner match. And I didn't get it at first, but it is what it is,
Exactly.
And I just like the question mark. I did not understand that. That came out of left field, and the original wrestler, and I'm not going to go and break kayfabe, but yeah, his gimmick didn't work, so they changed his gimmick and made him into the person he is
Right.
now. It's just like, how do you explain this?
But it's hard to compare because they're two different gimmicks, to be completely honest.
Gimmicks out of left field that would never stick
True.
in WWE. Would never stick.
Well,
Vince would never allow that kind of
I can
gimmick.
see the Orange Cassidy gimmick getting over in NXT and working down there, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can see like an Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole type thing, or even Orange Cassidy and Matt Riddle getting over huge in NXT.
What about that guy that came out and jammed and played the air guitar and got over in his first match that I saw him on NXT? I cannot remember his name.
Air
He
guitar?
was playing the air guitar.
He
was playing the air guitar.
Yeah,
and,
I know what you're talking about.
Drums. I'm sorry, the drums.
No, it was
And
air, he
literally-
did air guitar. It was the Boogahagen.
Hagen, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and you saw him, how he got over so quick, and just, I only saw him in one match.
Well,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Technically, he didn't get over quick. He's been working all the Florida house shows, and the same crowd that goes to NXT every week goes to all the Florida house shows. So they had been seeing him for probably a year already.
Man, but it takes me a lot to pop on my
Right.
couch for me to actually get up and actually yell and be a part of it and be like a kid again. It's like these guys get over and these guys come out of nowhere. Nobody explains, but it's hard for us true wrestling fans and wrestling fans can understand these gimmicks.
Right.
But hey, man, this is a new kind of era and a new wrestling kind of thing. Tim, what do you think of our boy doing the chicken wing Marty Scurll pop?
I mean, there's nothing to it. He just did it. I thought it was funny that a lot of people thought that. I thought it was funny that a lot of people on Twitter thought it meant something, which I don't think it does.
Well, Boom Boom Cabana is NWA and ROH still,
Well, Boom
if I'm
Boom
not
Cabana
mistaken.
has no contract. He can do whatever he wants, just like Jeff Cobb.
Ooh, free contract. I like this.
That's why Jeff Cobb is not signed with them, because if Jeff Cobb signs with All Elite Wrestling, that will limit the amount of dates he can do for New Japan. If Jeff Cobb signs with AEW, he can no longer work New Japan, no more New Japan in the US, and AEW can say whenever they want, oh, you're not going to Japan this week, we need you for a show. And Cobb wants to work as much New Japan as he can everywhere, so that's why he will not sign with AEW, at least right now. Cody apparently offered him a really good contract, and he said, no, I don't want to sign that.
Okay. All right. Now I got a question for you.
Okay.
With a wrestler and all these hot free agent wrestlers, why wouldn't they do a deal like Jeff Cobb, where he could be a free agent and bounce around and go to different companies? I'm not going to just sit here and name all the,
Right.
I don't know, 5, 10 different companies he could bounce around with. Why don't all the industries, why don't, all the big name companies realize, like, these wrestlers could make this move and do this kind of deal and just bounce around? Why don't they understand and work together?
Here's the issue
You
with
see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this?
I get where
You
you're
see where I'm going with this?
I get where you're going with the whole why don't they work together thing, because, well,
yeah,
New Japan and AEW ain't working together anytime soon. Trust me on that. But your whole thing of why can't guys just stay free agents and work for a bunch of different promotions? Because here's the thing with that. If you've got somebody like a Jeff Cobb going into AEW and he's working as a heel, as the hitman for Chris Jericho, but then you go over to ROH and he's one of their top baby faces, how are you supposed to believe that he's actually a bad guy in AEW when you watch him on ROH as a top baby face? Or you take somebody like, I don't know, for example, say they do get Marty Scurll, and Marty Scurll is running Villain Enterprises in ROH as the leader over there, but then he goes to AEW in The Elite and he's got to be a follower. How are you supposed to believe him as a believable leader in Ring of Honor leading the Villain Enterprises when in the other company he's a follower? You get what I'm saying? You can't have too many people in too many different promotions, because then gimmicks start to kind of mesh, and it's like you're one thing in one company and you're one thing in another company, and then it starts not making sense to a degree.
But the thing is that you have to keep it separate. If Marty Scurll came to AEW, he would come in with his own faction, the Villain Enterprises, and bring his own spin on it. It would be his own thing. Like, you gotta, I mean, I get what I understand what you're saying. I completely understand what you're saying. But when you intertwine all the different companies, you have to keep the storylines together. You have to keep them, and you have to keep them separate. You can't intertwine them like, like a woman braids her hair. You can't do that. It has to be its own entity, and that's why it keeps it separate.
But I get that. But at the
same, every company's separate. It's like ROH is working with NWA, and I was completely surprised, and I'd love to see when Nick Aldis popped up on the show. It came out of nowhere, dude. That was crazy.
Yeah,
it caught me off guard, and I like that kind of shit where they can work together but keep their companies separate.
Kind of not, because in ROH, Nick Aldis is going after, or at least he did go after, Marty Scurll's guys like Flip Gordon. Because in NWA, Marty Scurll is the next challenger to Nick Aldis in the championship. So to get under Marty Scurll's skin, he went after one of Marty Scurll's guys. Again, working together, storylines actually working in tandem.
True. Okay. All right.
So that's why I'm saying, like,
so
it's just hard for the fans.
We agree. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, it would be hard for the fans to, in one company, say, like I'd use the Jeff Cobb reference, in one company to believe that he's this big time badass heel, but then in the other company he's working as a babyface, how are you supposed to believe that he really wants to go out here and kill Jon Moxley when he works with all the baby faces in the other company? You know? And I get where you're trying to come from, but it just doesn't work like that. And the fans don't see it like that. You can see it like that. You could be able to separate the storylines. But some people only see Jeff Cobb as Jeff Cobb. And what he does everywhere impacts what he does everywhere. Not, oh, what he does in ROH is different than what he does here. And the reason for that is because of what the indie scene has led us to believe, that when somebody creates a gimmick, they take that gimmick to all the different companies and portrays that same gimmick, whether they're at PWG, Bar Wrestling, AAW, Defy, and they, you know what I mean?
Right. No, I get that. They kind of bend it here and there in different, territories that they go to.
But not as much
they
of
alternate. They kind of change it just a little bit, but they still kind of just a little bit stay true to the character,
right.
So they don't,
But it's
break,
not like, but it's not like the
kayfabe.
Jeff Cobb thing I'm saying. In AEW, he was a heel, but in ROH, I see him work a lot as a babyface. At least on the indies,
he's a face in ROH.
At least on the indies, if you work a heel one place, you're a heel everywhere. If you're a babyface, you're a babyface everywhere. And that's what I'm trying to get at with the whole, if you're a babyface one place, you need to be a babyface everywhere. You can't be a babyface or a heel one place, but a babyface everywhere else.
Okay, so then why were the Young Bucks heels tonight?
I don't think they were trying to be heels. It's just the crowd really wanted to see Hangman win.
Somebody had to be a heel in the match.
Right,
you know how it goes. So
and Hangman got the better reaction, so they worked more like a heel, but they aren't the heels.
Yeah. Well, they were tonight.
Well, to that crowd, yes.
It was just funny how it all worked out and everything. Tim, you know what? Thank you for me being the guinea pig tonight. You know what? I want you to keep up the awesome work.
Appreciate it.
Hey, you guys out there, keep subscribing. Tim, keep up the good work, man. JD out.
Have a great night, and thanks for the call.
NASCAR. I love NASCAR.
All right, so with that, we do have a couple more text messages here to read. If you want to send in your text or call us, you can do so at 510-906-1341. Person says, do you think the Exalted One mystery is a good call on AEW, making the fans guess every week? It's starting to die down like Eric Rowan in his cage a little bit, but I think there's still the mystique there of who can it be. I think it's still there more than the Eric Rowan cage thing. So I think eventually you got to get this out there. I don't think it can go another 2 months. I think within the next month, we need to know who that Exalted One is. It says, is Brandy's faction still a thing? No. Brandy said that she realized it wasn't working and cut that shit out. She said it. She said, I realized it didn't work, so we nixed it. But with that, the AEW Revolution. I want to thank everybody who joined me here tonight to talk about the AEW pay-per-view with Jon Moxley as your new AEW World Champion. I want to thank everybody who watches later right here on YouTube and listens on podcast services all around the world. We'll be live again on Monday night following Monday Night Raw. And hey, you guys can't get enough of me. I will be live in maybe an hour or so on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy, playing some video games. I'm probably going to play some more Star Wars and then maybe jump into some Jackbox Party Pack where you guys can play along with me. So maybe if there's enough of you in the stream at twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy at first, we'll start off with the Jackbox games and then go into Star Wars. But hey, in roughly an hour or so, I'm going to be streaming over on Twitch. So if you want to join me there, do so. And if you go over to twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy, hit that follow button so you do know exactly when I do go live. Again, I will be live here on the PW Unlimited YouTube channel again on Monday following Monday Night Raw. Have a good night, guys, and I'll see you later.